we have given the Taliban every chance in the book to turn this man over so that we can prosecute him legally. And they refuse to. So I myself, I don't see any other way but to go to war with these people.
No, I don't either. I don't either. I don't see any other way to do it either. Denny, thank you. I appreciate the call.
All right, thank you.
Okay, you got it. Here's Michael on the northwest side. Michael, you're on WLS.
Hey, Jay, how you doing tonight?
Okay.
All right. Yeah, my comments, I have basically two comments. One is first about Stephen. It is a human issue. It is not a black and white issue. I mean, how many other countries had people in that building? There were 60-plus countries that had people in that building when it fell to the ground and, all the people died.
Right.
And how many African-American firefighters, are on the ground working there and everything else. And, I mean, Colin Powell's African-American, and he's on Bush's team fighting this.
Yeah, I don't understand. We're going to start, examining the... Well, maybe he felt that the concerns of the black community are not being heard, but you know what? If you... you can pick the phone up and call. I mean, everybody can call. I'm not going to ask everybody who calls up, what color is your skin?
Yeah, I mean, and that's the sad thing. I mean, this is a human issue. We're all human, and we're all Americans, and this was something that happened to us. I cried that day. And I'm not a man of many emotions, but I cried that day, and I was just like, what is going on? And I also have a comment for the pacifists. In 1942, George Orwell wrote the following: pacifism is objectively pro-fascist. This is an elementary common sense. If you hamper the war effort on one side, you automatically help out that of the other. Nor is there any real way of remaining outside such a war as the present. In practice, he that is not with me is against me. And I believe that has the same thing to do with racism, too.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. I mean, you got to make you have to make a choice right now.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we can't have dissent in this country. We certainly can have that. You can disagree with the policies all you want. Everybody's entitled to their own free opinion. I mean, that's what makes us great.
Right.
But for God's sakes, qualify it by something,
Yeah.
And I think you got to make choices. I mean, sometimes in difficult situations, you have to cast your lot, and you have to see where it comes up.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, the lot is to be cast with the rest of the country. That's the way I look at it.
All right. Well, thank you for taking my call, Jay.
All right, Michael. Have a good night.
You too.
Does that all make sense about casting a lot with the rest of I don't know. Am I making sense here? Or am I parboiled? Am I bubbling along, not making any sense at all? We should be able to have dissent. There's nothing wrong with being an anti-war protester. People have a right to protest this, even if there's no war yet. I mean, they have a right to get out there and say, hey, we don't want to have this happen. You have a right to do that. I support that 100%. Covered under the First Amendment, should have the right to do it. It's what makes us great. But on the other hand, I would love to get an alternative proposal, and I just can't seem to get one, no matter how hard I try. Coming up on 8:30 here on WLS.
I'm Linda Mitri with this WLS News Update brought to you by Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority. You are free to see new things, free to run wild, free to leave reality behind. Call 877-VISIT-LV for information on a great Vegas getaway. WLS traffic to Eden's inbound remains slow from Elston to Montrose. WLS Chicagoland weather, partly cloudy, a low of 50. It's 69 at O'Hare, 71 at Midway, 73 at the lakefront. Now for the latest on Operation Ensuring Freedom, we join ABC News in New York with a live report.
British Prime Minister Tony Blair will reportedly say in a speech tomorrow that the Taliban leaders in Afghanistan have had their chance to hand over Osama bin Laden and now face imminent military strikes. Blair will also reportedly say the dangers of inaction are now greater than the dangers posed by military action. White House officials say they won't comment on the timing of any military strikes. Another U.S. aircraft carrier is headed for the region.
The Navy has ordered the aircraft carrier Kitty Hawk to the Arabian Sea off the coast of Pakistan. But its normal complement of warplanes is missing. Instead, sources say the carrier will serve as a floating base camp for special forces and their helicopters. The Kitty Hawk will provide the military with security, secrecy, and flexibility, and reduce pressure on the government of Pakistan.
ABC's Bill Greenwood, a New York City official, says the remains of 25 firefighters have been recovered from the World Trade Center site over the past 2 days. Paul James, ABC News.
Chrissy Store, call for details. This Army segment is brought to you by Executive Health Exams, the leader in physical exams since 1913.
More than just radio. This is the Big 89. WLS.
.34 on Chicago's News Talk 89 WLS. Talking about the anti-war protesters and also about your feelings about Bush and how he's doing. And here's Mike, who is against bombing. Mike, hi, you're on WLS. Welcome.
Thank you very much for answering my call.
Sure.
This time I wouldn't have a war. To go the other way, supply the good Muslims over there with all the supplies they need to have a civil war and root out their own unsavour people there, like the Taliban. and then just keep freezing their money assets. There's to go there and bomb them. We didn't get Saddam Hussein. We didn't get Hitler. We didn't get Stalin. That generalized bombing doesn't seem to do what we need to what we want to get done.
Well, first of all, we never bombed Stalin, so you can forget that one. We were never in that kind of a conflict with the then Soviet Union. Second of all, yes, we did get Hitler. We never killed him directly, but the fact is we destroyed the German war machine. Third, I buy everything you're saying, except I've got one problem. And that is you've got close to 6,000 people who lost their lives for doing nothing more than just showing up at work. How do you intend to hold anybody responsible for that? Or do you feel like we shouldn't hold anybody responsible and that we should let bin Laden, for instance, off the hook and just say, well, we can't get involved and we can't do anything about it?
Oh, definitely not.
Well, then how do you want to hold him? How do you want to hold him accountable?
The 6,000 people that got killed were killed by 19 people that are dead already.
Well, wait a minute, though, but somebody paid for that. Who paid for it? Who was responsible for the organizing and the paying of it? You've heard of being charged with accessory to murder, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so what do you intend to do about Mr. bin Laden? What would be your plan to deal with Mr. bin Laden?
To have the Muslim people that live in that country take care of him and bring him to the world court.
Have you seen what Afghanistan is like? Do you think that they have the will to do anything? Do you think when you've got a population that is on the edge of starvation that they can really rise up and go and grab Mr. bin Laden and turn him over to the authorities when they're being oppressed by a governmental structure? But wait a minute, I'm not done yet. By a governmental structure that has weapons when they're beating their own citizens in the streets. Do you think that they're capable of doing anything about it? And still, you do not answer the question about bin Laden being responsible not for what happened in Afghanistan, Mike, but what happened here. How do we hold him accountable for what happened here if he paid for, financed it, and was part and parcel of what went on?
Have the people in Afghanistan do the revolt.
I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it again. 6,000 people on United States soil gone in an instant. Who is going to pay for that? Do we have a responsibility? Does my government have a responsibility to assure for the safety of myself and my loved ones and to make sure that justice is carried out in my name and to find somebody who's responsible for my murder? Or do we just forget that?
No, there's definitely no forgetting that.
Well, then how do you tend to deal with Mr. bin Laden?
By having the people of Afghanistan...
You know what? I hear that, but let me try it again. Let me really try it again. Close to 6,000 people murdered on U.S. soil. Crime committed on U.S. soil with U.S. assets by people who are in the United States of America, not Afghanistan. The people who are responsible, and the prime person who is responsible for this, is now hiding in Afghanistan. Following your logic, after World War II was over with, we should have never had the Nuremberg trials, and what we should have done was we should have just let the people of Argentina, for instance, go after Joseph Mengele, right?
No,
Mr. Borman. Is that what you're saying?
No, let the World Court then process bin Laden.
Well, then how are you going to get him to trial?
By supplying the resistance movement in Afghanistan. Like
we're going to do that.
People are beat.
We're going to do that.
By giving them the supplies necessary for that. They would almost have a better chance of finding him. If you supply them with guns and with food, the Taliban is a very small group of people with the guns who will keep the entire countryside at bay because they don't have any guns. So if you were to give the guns to the resistance fighters...
We are doing that.
Okay.
We are doing that, but still it is our ultimate responsibility to act on behalf of the citizens of this country, hard-working, tax-paying citizens who were murdered for no good reason at all. And we are responsible for bringing the people who did this to justice the same way a local police department would do it. And the way you're talking, I'll tell you what I'd like to do. I'd like to get your address of your house, because I got a feeling like I could probably show up tonight after I get off with a fire axe, chop down your door, go in, ransack your entire house, put a gun to your head, and threaten you, and maybe rape your wife on top of it, and then beat the crap out of you and leave you for half dead. And I'll be assured that you will not press charges, nor will you do anything to go after me after it's over with, because that's just not the way to do it. You'd rather have somebody else take care of it for you. Well, you do have somebody take care of it for you. It's called the government. That's what you pay taxes for. And there's no objectivity when it comes to right or wrong. I mean, let me rephrase that. There's no subjectivity or objectivity. There's no debate. It's wrong, and you've got to bring these people to justice. Or maybe I'm wrong about that. Gary on a car phone, you're on WLS.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Jay.
Yes, sir.
One of my, I work at a pharmacy, and I'm losing my mind. I'm out here driving, trying to focus. One of my customers at the pharmacy, his father now is dead because he was in that building. They haven't found him yet. But what do you want me to tell him when we have people in Washington, D.C. saying, peace, peace, peace? Jay, personally, I don't care whether you like George Bush or not. I personally have disagreed with you more times, but I'm 100% behind you now. We have to support our president, whether he's a Democrat, Republican, whether he's black, white, green, or yellow. God bless America, Jay. I'm not sure why all these people are calling up and giving our country a bad black eye.
I don't get it either, but they have a right to their opinion. The last caller, he's got a right to his opinion, but it's like, hey, man, nobody's going to victimize me and get away with it.
No, I understand. Everyone has a right to their opinions. God bless them all. But 6,000 people are dead. Are we just going to sit there and say, well, maybe we should just not worry about this right now? We've got to do something. If we don't, it's going to continue. It's going to continue over and over again. And, Jay, I haven't agreed with you. In fact, most of the time I don't agree with you. But, boy, let me tell you, I agree with you 100%, my friend. God bless you, and God bless everyone that's supporting the United States today.
You got it, Gary. Thank you.
Thank you.
By the way, we did try to have the Afghan people take care of bin Laden back in, I believe it was either 96 or 97. We paid somebody to do it, and they failed. That was under the Clinton administration. Don in Hickory Hills, you're on WLS.
Yes. Hi, Jay. How you doing?
Okay.
Before I make my comment, I just wanted to allude to a statement the gentleman talked about, having the Afghanistan people find bin Laden and so forth. And he mentioned the phrase to you, generalized bombing didn't work. We've never had generalized bombing in any of the wars we had. Like you said, we flattened Germany. Every one of those planes had a specific target.
Yeah, they were usually factories.
Yeah, right, absolutely. Okay, so the other point, the reason I called is, I agree with you 100%, and I also agree that the political dissenters should have their voice. That's what this country is about. But when I picked up the Tribune today, they had a group, International Action Center, demonstrating in New York, and there was a picture of this man carrying a sign saying, "Resist the racist war." Now, I take offense to that because I mean, why are we indicting? Why are we putting racism into this? Guys with the different pigmentation of skin color than yours or mine in the majority of this country take a action and kill 6,000 of our citizens. So our action against them is racist. I don't understand this at all.
There is no color in criminal behavior.
That's right. And maybe if you get one of these dissenters to call in, maybe you could ask them that question. Maybe they could give you a reason. And what really ticks me off is this happened in New York, and they marched from Union Square to Times Square. I haven't been in New York in years, but I don't know how far that is from the Union Trade Center. And another point, I've been white all my life. So I thought, okay, but I'm saying this is a picture of a white man carrying a sign, and I hope this isn't some branch off from some White Citizens Council or KK group or something like that, because it sure sounds like it when they're throwing racism in.
No, and when things get tough, people like that, members of the KKK, the Citizens Council, they have a tendency to hide like cockroaches. They have a lot in common with bin Laden, by the way, too.
Yeah,
and what they have in common with bin Laden is lack of tolerance towards other individuals.
Right. And I just got frosted when I saw this picture. I mean, the article had those things that say about Berrigan, Father Berrigan, which I disagreed with. But you want to demonstrate against nonviolence. You want to be a political dissenter, fine, but don't throw race into it because it doesn't belong there.
I agree, Don. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. And if you're one of those people who believes that this is another example of the United States bullying third world people, Mr. bin Laden could have taken all the money that he's raised. And I believe I heard today that the British have frozen $90 million in assets linked directly to the Taliban. They have $90 million. Why don't they try feeding their own people? Oops. Doesn't seem always to work out that way, does it? Anybody can take a flag or any other symbol, God, whatever you want to choose, and wrap themselves up in it and rally people to their side. Mr. bin Laden is one of those people who takes God, the word God or the word Allah, and hides beneath it. Even though the Quran specifically points out that his behavior is wrong. Now, somebody told me today that if you commit a sin in the eyes of Islam, if you commit suicide in the eyes of Islam, then you are doomed to repeat that act of suicide over and over again through eternity. And that's what's going to happen to the people who flew these planes. Or it's happening to them now. Big surprise when they get to the other side and they find out that their hero, Mr. bin Laden, was wrong. It's going to be an even bigger surprise when Mr. bin Laden meets his fate and finds out that Allah's not too thrilled with him. Adam in Oak Lawn, you're on WLS.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi. Am I on the air?
You're on the air.
Well, hello. What I would like the comment I would like to make is that it seems unfortunate, but the terrorists, these murderers, have already won.
How's that?
We've changed our way of living. We can't go to the airport. We look at airplanes in the sky differently.
No, the airplanes are now up to 85% of their capacity.
I just looked at one taking off from Midway at 7:37, and I was reminded of what happened 2 weeks ago.
Well, that's you. That's not everybody. I'm flying in January.
Oh, I just flew from Seattle. I'm flying.
Well, then they're not. Then they're not winning, are they?
Well, if you're defining the fact that people are still flying, but we sure have to wait a long time to get on that airplane. We've now, once again, are looking at passing laws to make the law-abiding more restricted when the criminal is going to do whatever he feels like doing anyway.
And what laws would those be?
Well, that you can't take carry-on luggage, according to Pan Am today.
I find no problem with that. That's being realistic. That's not restricting freedom-loving people. That's being realistic, and that's living in the real world.
Well, if you want to be realistic, everything in the lady's purse, my belt buckle is a lethal weapon as well.
Oh well, name me the last plane that was hijacked with a belt buckle.
Well, how about with a box cutter? What's the difference?
Between a belt buckle and a box cutter. Difference. You know what the difference of that is? The difference between terrorism and dropping the bomb on Hiroshima. Thank you for the call. 850 on WLS.
Great Big 89 WLS.
J. Marvin, 855, the Big 89, WLS. Eileen Byrne coming up at 9 o'clock. 50,000 watts of postmodernism subjectivity. I don't know if that makes any sense or not, but it sounded good. Here's Ron on the south side. Ron, you're on WLS. Thanks for waiting.
Hey, how's it going?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing okay. I want to ask you one question.
Sure.
We got a couple questions, but why are we in the Persian Gulf? Give me a good answer that could satisfy all of us. Because, you know, people don't know, just a lot of people don't know why we're in the Persian Gulf. Why are we in the Persian Gulf, first of all?
What do you mean, why have we been there, or why are we there now?
Why have we been there? Like before September 11th.
Well, the reason we are there is because I gotta break this down, because you know what? It's a continuation of a long-standing problem. First of all, we're there now and have been there before September the 11th because of to keep an eye on Saddam Hussein and the Iraqis, who really don't want to observe those UN no-fly zones, and really what they really want to do is they really want to cause trouble. And Saddam Hussein is a very, very destabilizing element in the Middle East. Second of all, we have strategic interests there, and the strategic interests that are there, whether we like it or not, or we happen to think it's right or it's wrong, happens to be part and parcel of it, happens to be Israel. Then you've also got the added complexity of the fact that whether you accept it or not, and I think there is some question about this, but it's the way things played out, that we were asked to help out. We were asked by the Kuwaitis to help them out, and I would say the last reason we're probably there is because of oil.
Okay, so you think the last reason is oil? I think, and this is just me as a amateuristic anthropologist and history buff. I think one thing that's contributing to all this is the reason that we're there from the get-go. During the Iraqi War, the Persian Gulf War, that was in Iraq. In the Persian Gulf, and we killed like 5,000 to 10,000 just innocent Iraqi people. And so then if you look at that, that's a lot more than what happened over here. And this is just terrorist attack that we really, we think we know who did it, but we really don't know.
I would point out to you that we do know who did it. And Tony Blair came out tonight and said that there is absolute proof that bin Laden was involved.
But is he the sole perpetrator? Is he the sole perpetrator?
No, but we're not asking for just bin Laden.
Okay, but are there any other
Yes.
European? Are there any European nations involved in this, or
yes.
are there any other Middle Eastern?
Yes, and we are involved in pursuing that as well. We are asking for the following: we are asking for bin Laden's associates. We are asking European countries to help us to combat terrorism on their own soil, plus do something which this country has never done and is long overdue, which is to get them to reform their banking laws, which is what they need to do and should have done a long time ago.
Okay.
We're taking many different steps, but the clip that keeps playing in everybody's head over and over again, which is not the right clip, because this has been talked about forever and a day, is that it's not going to be like the Gulf War. There are going to be a lot of things that are going to go on that do not involve dropping bombs.
Right, but nonetheless, there are still going to be lots of innocent people possibly killed.
Well, there's going to be a lot of innocent people possibly killed, but if you read the Tribune today, I think there's a pretty telltale, it's either the Sun-Times or the Tribune, there's a pretty telltale article there where Afghanistan women would like us to bomb the country because they feel like they're the living dead already. Thank you for the call. Eileen Byrne is up next. 19 Paul to all my copper friends. Yeah, I love you and I support you.